created all the legends as well as schedules that are required for each of those drawings. In today's class, we're going to take a relatively short one. We finished this off in about an hour last week, or in my last class, so not that much to cover, just because the majority of it we've already covered in our previous lesson. So we're going to take a look at generating a ceiling plan as well as a power and communication plan. We'll talk about creating section drawings, which you should be well aware of. We'll also talk about interior wall elevations, which again you should be well aware of. We'll also talk about creating details as well as millwork details. And then lastly, again, reiterate schedules and legends. Okay, so that's what and again, majority of that we've already covered in previous classes. Again, we're just going to go through it real quick. Okay, so those are the last. Now, mind you, that last drawing A10, I'm going to disregard. I'm going to omit that because we already have all our schedules and legends on the proper pages. So I'd rather them be on the proper page than them being all on one page. So we'll probably exclude the A10 and only do the 9 pages. Okay, so we're going to start with a reflective ceiling plan. Now you're all well aware of how to create a ceiling in Revit and how to create, but you may not be aware of all the other elements that you could place in a ceiling. We've already discussed creating tiled ceilings as well as gypsum wallboard ceilings, but we haven't really focused we also talked about lighting, that we haven't really focused our attention on perhaps creating, adding mechanical diffusers or grills or emergency lighting or sprinkler heads or that kind of stuff that you would find in the typical RCP. We also are going to take a look at not only generating the lighting fixtures, but also the switches and the wiring that it's involved with that, okay? We all are well aware of what our ceiling tile system is. If you look directly overhead, you've got the acoustic ceiling tile system. By standards, it's either a 2x4 foot or a 2x2 foot. And there are various tiles that you can use. It's just not limited to the tiles you customly see. Okay, there are quite a few varieties of different tiles and patterns that you could choose from to place in a ceiling tile grid. Okay, now not only are there ceiling tiles, but there could be other things in there like light boxes, pot lights, air diffusers, okay, sprinkler heads. So there are many other things within a ceiling that are not just tiles and lights. All right, so here's some examples of a RCP plan. Again, you'll see not only lighting fixtures, but perhaps emergency lighting, as well as diffusers. There's also a gypsum wallboard. Okay, this is on metal or on wood studs. Okay, again, it can be finished to the client's wants. And we showed you already how to put a ceiling into Revit. Let's go ahead and put some in our drawing right now. Okay, so let's go now, minimize our floor plans, and let's go ahead and maximize our main floor ceiling plan. So let's all please go into our main floor ceiling. When we go into our main floor ceiling plan, one thing I do want to hide, you'll notice that I can see the roof on this plan. So let's go under our properties panel, under visibility graphics override. Let's click edit, and in our model category, let's scroll down and look for roofs. Okay, let's turn off the roof layer. Go ahead and click OK. All right, so now we're ready, and we'll just again focus our attention into this area here. So the first thing we're obviously going to put in a ceiling plan is, of course, ceilings. Okay, so let's click onto in the architecture tab, in the ceiling panel, in the build panel, let's click onto the ceiling command. Okay, now let's just start with a typical 2x4 acoustics tile system. Perhaps we'll put it in one of these bedrooms. Now we're going to use the automatic method, and you'll notice that when I do the automatic method, it doesn't recognize any of the interior walls, because the interior walls are all set at 8 feet high. You can see that your ceiling is also at 8 feet high, and ceilings, just like roofs, go upwards. So we're going to have to drop that down just a bit, just so that it recognizes the walls. So let's put that at 711. Okay, now you can see that it recognizes the 8-foot high walls. Let's go ahead and just place it in this room here. And then in the other rooms, excuse me, in the other rooms, let's just put gypsum wallboard on metal stud. Okay, now please remember, when you put a gypsum wallboard on metal stud, it does not show any type of pattern. Okay, so don't expect anything to show up. Don't double, triple click it just because you don't see anything. Okay, so just go into a room, click it, go into the next room, click it, and then lastly, we'll go into this room and click it. Okay. Go ahead and press escape now to exit, and let's go into our 3D view, just so that we can confirm that the ceilings have been placed. If you just click onto the roof and orbit in that one area there, you should see our ceilings. Now that we have our ceilings, let's go back to the main floor ceiling plan and let's put in some lighting fixtures. Again, we've already talked about how to put in lighting fixtures, very simple concept. Let's go to architecture, build, let's go into our component command, load family. Well, actually, there might already be lighting in here. Let me just double check. No, there isn't. All right. So let's go to load family. Let's go into the US Imperial folder. And let's go under lighting. All right. Architectural. Internal. All right, so let's put in the kitchen here, I'll put a couple of flat round lights, maybe some in the dining room as well. Okay, so I'll put a couple, doesn't matter exactly where. Put a couple in there. Maybe I'll put a couple of them in this room here. And maybe one more in the front entrance area. Okay. Now I'm going to put some pot lights around, so let's go again, load family. I'll use the downlight recess can. Again, downlight recess can, that's our pot lights. We'll put a few in the kitchen as well as a few in the dining room. So again, doesn't matter exactly the location. Put a few in here. Put a few in the dining room area here. All right, I'll go ahead and load some more in here. Okay, so maybe this one I'll just put a Troffer 2x4 light in this room here. Now you'll notice that you can't rotate this light, so I'm gonna have to put it down and then I'm gonna have to rotate it. Okay, so put it down, okay, select it, and then use your rotate command and rotate it 90 degrees. Okay. Then zoom in, and then you can position it. Okay, the closer you zoom in, okay, the more control you have over where it's located. There you go. Some typical light fixtures that you'd find in the ceiling. Any questions so far? Pretty simple. All right, next, let's put the switches in, because here's what I want eventually. Okay, by the way, there's some various lighting symbols. Okay. By the way, if you cannot find any of these lights, another way you could put in a light symbol, let me show you real quick, is really just to draw it in. Okay, if you can't find one, don't waste your time trying to look for a square with two lines through it. It's much faster just to go ahead and draw it in. So let's say I want to draw in a light fixture here, maybe a square box light fixture here. Okay, so all we have to do is go under annotate, go under detail panel, there's detail line. let's say I want to go with a thin line. I'm going to use a thin line. So these are all your line types and line weights. So I'm going to go thin line. And then I'm just going to use the rectangle tool. Okay, so maybe over here, I will draw maybe a 1 foot by 4 foot light fixture. Okay, and then maybe I'll put a diagonal line through it, something like this. Okay. Now mind you, that is again just a two-dimensional light. It doesn't cast any light, obviously. Okay, but it's fine for a ceiling plan. Okay, so again, some of these light fixtures you won't find them. Okay, but again, you can draw them in. All right, so there's how we add lights through our lighting fixtures. Okay, now next is wiring and switches. Okay, wiring and switches. So here's a typical example. Okay, a one pole light controls one light. A 2-pole light obviously controls 3. There's a 3-point light. A 3-point light. Pole light controls 3 lights. So let's go. There's one with a dimmer switch on it. Okay, so let's put some switches in here. So to put some switches in, okay, we're gonna go under. Okay, it's a component. Okay, and here's where you would find switches. Okay, so let me show you where you find them. All right, now, first of all, when we put in switches, okay, we have to set our visual style, or sorry, our detail level to coarse. Okay, so set your detail level to coarse. If you set it to fine, medium, or fine, it's actually not going to be shown as a symbol. Okay, you see how it's shown as the letter S, kind of. It's not going to be shown as a symbol. It's actually going to be shown as a little switch, okay, a little square that's popping out of the wall. Okay, so I don't want that realistic look. I want that symbolic look. So set your detail level to coarse. Also, a switch is set at normally typically around 3'6" to 4 foot high. When you do a ceiling plan, your cut plane is set at 7'6". So if I put this switch in right now, it will not find that switch. Okay, so it will not. It's below the 7'6", so it will not show on your drawing. So the next thing I have to do before I put the switches on is I need to drop my cut plane. Okay, this will also then end up showing your doors, which is great because I don't want to put a switch on top of where a door is located. So I would actually like to see my doors in this scenario. So let's go into our properties panel under the view range. Okay, so scroll down under the extents op category. It is called view range. Let's click edit, and let's set our cut plane down to 4 feet. So once I set my cut plane down to 4 feet, you can now see the doors, and now we will also be able to see our switches. All right, so here's where the switches are. Please go under the Architecture tab. Click onto the component, place a component command. Click on Load Family. Take a step back. Go under US Imperial. And it's under Electrical. All right. It's also under Architectural, Electrical Power, and lastly, Terminals. All right, so here you will see your outlets. Your outlets will go into your power and communication drawing in a few minutes. Okay, but there are our switches. So we've got our dimmer switch, our double switch, single switch. Okay, let's start with a single switch in the kitchen. Okay, so let's go with switch single. Load that in, and these are hosted by a wall. Okay, so you can see it right there. Okay, it's hosted by a wall, so pick that wall. Okay, there's our switch. Okay, maybe we want to put another switch, single switch here to control that. And then maybe we'll put one more single switch over here to control that one. Okay, let's go back to load family. We'll put a double switch in here. So load family, we'll put a double switch. Maybe I'll put it right here. Those are your switches. Again, remember to drop your cut plane down so you'll be able to see it. All right, next, we're going to put in the wiring. Now, there are two ways of putting in a wiring. One is called the manual method, which we're going to do now, and the other one is called the power-up method, okay? So let me show you the manual method first. Let's go into the kitchen area here, okay? And the manual method is simply just to draw in your wiring. So we go under Annotate. We go into our detail line command, and this time we're going to use our hidden line. Okay, create a hidden line. And then we're going to use our arc command, okay, our start and radius arc command to create the wire. Okay, so I'm going to start at the switch. So just at the top, there's no object snap feature that enables you to pick the top of the switch. So just eyeball it, pick a point, then pick a point on your circle, and then give it a radius. Okay, then again, okay, press escape, start it again, end it, and then give it an arc. Okay, press escape, start it again, end it, and then again, put an arc. Okay, so that is, again, press escape. You always got to make sure that you press escape so that you can reselect the start point. There we go. Okay, so that one single switch controls, okay, all these light fixtures in the kitchen. All right, any questions? Okay, and we can do the double switch here. Perhaps one wire only goes to the hot lights, and then the other switch controls perhaps the round lights. Okay, again, you could draw that in. Now, another way of putting it in, now let's delete this because I'm going to show you the other way. Okay? This is called the power up method, okay? First thing we're going to have to do in order to do the power up method is we're going to have to bring in a different switch, okay? They're going to look the same, but they're going to act differently, okay? This is just a two-dimensional, okay, switch, okay? With the other one, it's got, okay, let me just show you. It might be easier just to show you. Okay, so we gotta go under the System command or System tab. Please go under the System tab. Okay, and then under Device. Okay, you will see Lighting. Okay, now it's going to tell you that the lighting device family hasn't been loaded yet. Let's go ahead and load it in. So let's say yes. Okay, and here's where you have to go for this. So let's take a step back. We'll start back at the US Imperial. It's still under Electrical, so click on Electrical. But this time, instead of going into Architectural, we're going to go into MEP, Mechanical, Electrical, Plumbing. So go into MEP, okay, then go under Electrical Power, and then go under Terminals. All right, so in here, you should see lighting switches. So right here, lighting switches. Okay. All right, so go into your Properties panel, Okay, and you're going to see all the various lighting switches that I can choose from. Let's just do a single pole, okay, a single pole light switch. And maybe this single pole will control all the lights in our kitchen area. Okay, so click on single pole and place it along this wall here. Okay, and press escape. Okay, so there again, it looks very much the same as our regular one. Okay, but here's the difference. Select it, and you'll see, and please do not pick this. If you pick it, you're going to have to reinsert it, because then you've lost power, okay? You see how there's a power button here? Okay, don't pick it yet, okay, but make sure that you have that power option available, okay? All right, so here's what you're going to need to do. Select this switch, hold down the control key, and now select all the lighting that it's going to power up. Okay? Again, hold down the control key. So pick the switch first, then hold down the control key. Select in order all the lights that it's going to control, and then now click onto your power button. Okay? The next option we're going to have to do is we're going to now choose if you wanted a chamfered wire, you can see what that looks like, or an arc wire. Okay? Go ahead and choose arc. So there you go. Okay? Now you will notice it is not in hidden or dash format. Okay, unfortunately you can't make it dash. You can, however, also control, you can see here that you can control the curvature of it. Okay, if you want it not as curved or curvier, okay, you can control the curvature. Okay, so either way would be sufficient. Either the manual method where you draw in your arcs, okay, or the power up method. Just remember that you do need a different switch for each of them. Okay, this is just a regular electrical fixture switch, and this one here, okay, is a lighting device. Okay, it's a lighting device under, again, system, device, lighting. Any questions?
Yeah. Can you just tell me how you did the power for the last switch again? Like, explain the process?
So all you have to do, when you select it, does it have the power option?
When I select it, yes.
Okay, so all you have to do now is select the switch, press Control, select all your light fixtures, and then click Power. Once you've clicked Power, you're then going to choose what type of wire, whether it's an arc wire or a chamfered wire. We chose arc.
So, Sandra, sorry, it shows me power, but when I select them all, the power goes away.
Okay, so that means you've accidentally selected power already. Okay, so go ahead, take it, delete it, and reinsert another one in there. Okay. Make sure not to select, don't select this and then select power. Okay. So again, put a new one in, delete that, put a new one in. Okay, select it, hold down your control key, select all the other lighting, and then click power.
Sancho, it still does it.
Yeah, I reinserted another one, it's still doing it.
All right, I'll look at that at the break, okay?
Once you click power once and use
It's just one, it's just controlling all of them. So it doesn't really matter how they.
Yeah.
All right, now, so again, here are various switches that you can put in. Okay, the majority of these, now this one, the dimmer switch is gonna look a little bit different in Revit. It's just this S with a D on it for dimmer, okay? But all the rest of them pretty much look the same, okay? Let's see here. All right, so again, that is where you find your switches. So they're the two methods. You could either draw them in, okay, or you can use the power method, okay, that again, under System, Devices, Lighting, you will find the lighting switch. All right, so Not only is lighting and switches and wires also in a reflected ceiling plan, I need you to put in all the other lighting that's involved, okay? Specifically, especially in your hotel, you're gonna need emergency lights, okay? Perhaps even a ceiling fan, okay? So other items that are found in a typical ceiling, okay? So I'd like you to find as many or put in as many of these that you see in the legend as possible. Okay, now back to our legend. Okay, very simple to create the legend. Let's just review real quick. Please go under View. Please go under Legends. Okay, and please click on Legend. Guys, we have a class. Oh, come on, guys. You got to look at the book and see what's going on before you barge in, please. Okay, so let's go now. Let's go under Lighting. This is our ceiling plan legend. Click OK. Alright, and if you recall, very easy to create a legend, especially with components. Okay, let's go under Annotate. Under the Detail panel, click on Legend Components. Alright, and then right in here is all our lighting. Okay, so we should look under Lighting. Okay, we did a ceiling light, flat round. That was the first one we used. Okay, then we did a recessed can light. That's the other one we used. Okay, and then we did a Trafford light. Okay, that's the other one we used. Now we did draw one. Okay, we did draw one. Okay, so let's go back to our ceiling plan and let's take the one that we drew. So put a window around it, and we're gonna copy and paste it, okay? So here's our copy command, so go into your clipboard, copy it, and then go into your ceiling plan legend, and paste it. Okay, so put it right there. All right, so we can use, again, our copy to clipboard option. If we've drawn any of the ones we have in our ceiling plan, if we drew them, we could simply copy them and paste them into our legend. Okay? All right. So now let's go ahead. Let's put a rectangle around this. Okay. So again, go to your Annotate, Detail Line. Go to our rectangle. We're going to put in a medium line weight. Okay. And then just simply draw your rectangle. I won't bore you with typing in all of the information for these things, okay? But again, we should put a description for each of them. All right. So there's our typical ceiling legend. And again, I'd like you to put in as many of these as you can. Okay, now in terms of some others, I put on my notes here, okay, on the very last page. Let me get to it. Right here. I've put other locations on where you find various things in Revit, okay? So you could see here, I put the folder in which some of these items are. So if you want to put, an exhaust grill or emergency lighting, emergency recess lighting fixture, or smoke detectors, okay? I showed you exactly where you would find them in the Revit folders. Okay. Again, not everything you will find. Some things you will have to draw in, okay? Some things also will look a little bit different, okay, than perhaps what it shows here, which is fine. All right, so let's just go back to Revit here. Let's just create our ceiling plan now. Okay, let's create a new page. For some reason, I don't have my furniture plan, okay, but you probably do. Okay, so let's go to our View tab. Let's create our sheet. We use for this lecture, we use the D2234. And then just rename it. This is our reflected ceiling plan, RCP. And let's just simply drag and drop our ceiling plan into it. Oh, wrong scale. Or sorry, wrong item. There it is, ceiling plan. Yeah, this is the wrong scale. We use 3/32, or sorry, 3/16 for the other one. So I'm just gonna simply double click into it and change the scale to 3/16 of an inch. And then I'll put in my ceiling legend as well. And I'm going to change my viewport to, remember last week we created a viewport with no labels. Okay, so I'll take the labels off that. Now, very important, you got to make sure that when we start creating all these different drawings that they don't appear on our previous drawings, okay? So I'm going to go to my as-built, should not be there because it's not in new construction. Demolition, again, it's not there. But in my partition plan, okay, just make sure, is yours in your partition plan? Yeah, I could see some switches appear in my partition plan, okay? So I'm going to go under, let's go to my partition plan and my under floor plans. And let's go under visibility graphics edit and please turn off electrical. Okay, electrical fixtures. Okay, electrical fixtures. Okay, so now you should see, okay, the switches have now been turned off. There's still a little switch right there. I think that might be under electrical equipment. So maybe I'll turn that one off as well. Still there. Let's see, what would that be under? Lighting devices, thank you. There we go, great. So again, just make sure, again, if your furniture is showing in your partition plan, obviously you need to turn that off. Now let's go into our furniture plan and do the same thing. You can see that my lighting switches and lighting devices are still showing up here as well. Okay, so take a moment, turn off your electrical fixtures as well as your lighting devices. Alright, so any questions in regards to creating a reflected ceiling plan? I'm sure you've done that many a times. Alright, next, power and communication plan. Okay, so on our power and communication plan, we want to show, mostly we want to show our receptacles, our power outlets. Okay, we also want to show not only the power outlets, the typical ones, the duplex receptacles, but also ones perhaps that are used by your stove or your fridge. We also want to show the communication outlets, so the telephone outlet, the data outlet, perhaps the cable TV outlet, okay? And there are times where you also put in switches, okay? Switches may control outlets, okay? So you may want to put those switches in as well. All right, so let's take a look at how to generate. Again, I've put in all the various symbols, okay, for for not only your power outlets, but also for your communication outlets as well. All right, so let's go. We're going to take the partition plan and we're going to duplicate that to create our power and communication plan. So let's do a right click, duplicate view. Now remember, I don't want it with the annotations, so just do a simple duplicate. Okay, so there it is. Okay, let's rename it. This is going to be our power and communication plan. All right, now before we do our power and communication plan, remember we turned off all the electrical outlets. Okay, so we're gonna have to turn them back on in order to see the outlets. Okay, so let's go to Visibility, Graphics, Edit, and turn back on your electrical equipment. All right, so let's go ahead and put in the outlets. Okay, now the outlets were located in the same place as the switches were. Okay, now, before we put in our outlets, just a couple of words in regards to the outlet locations. Okay, there is, if you're not aware, there is what is called the 6-foot rule or the 12-foot rule. Any point on your wall cannot be further than 6 feet away from an outlet. Okay, so in other words, 12-foot maximum spacing between your outlets. Okay, that's on a wall. Now, in a kitchen, you've got a maximum of 2 feet. Okay, or if you're going around a corner, it's a maximum of 4 feet. Okay, so just be aware. Again, I'm not gonna grill you on this. I'm not gonna go and see if every outlet you have is close enough. Okay, just keep that in mind when you're putting them in. Okay, don't put just one in a huge room. Okay, that's further than 12 feet away. Okay. Also, in a bathroom, okay, please make sure that your outlet, and you probably would only have one, is minimum 3 feet away from the bathtub. Okay, obvious reasons. Okay, so again, a minimum of 3 feet away from the bathtub. Okay, so please be aware of that when putting in your outlet. All right, so let's go ahead and put in our outlets. To put in your outlets, again, it's just a component, so let's go to Architecture, click on Component, Load Family. Okay, take a step back into the electrical, architectural, electrical power, terminals. Okay, so there are all your outlets right there. Okay, you've got your typical duplex outlet, there's a single one. Okay, this one here, oh, there's a floor. These both are floor ones, okay? It's getting very common now that there are floor ones, especially with, with all the, with having to power up all our devices. Okay, it's becoming very common now to be putting power outlets in floors. So there's 2 floor ones. There's our typical wall one. GFI, that's the grounded one, that needs to be in a washroom. Okay, so any washroom ones needs to be a GFI. There's one for your range. Okay, so if you put a stove in one of your hotel units, you need to put a range type in there. Okay, so let's use this one. It's just typical duplex outlet. Let's load that in. Okay, and then go ahead now and place it on our walls. All right, now you'll notice that it's not visible. Let's set our styles here, or sorry, set our detail level. Okay, the course. What else are we missing here? Why is it not showing? Bear with me a second here. Let's go under Edit Visibility. Do I have my... Oh yeah, sorry, electric fixtures. Make sure we turn that on. Okay, so there we are. Okay, now you'll notice when we put on our electrical fixtures, you'll notice that the other switches for our lighting will also turn on. Okay, so what I'm gonna have to do here, I'm gonna have to hide those elements. Okay? Because I can't turn off the layer, but I can hide those elements. So hold down the Control key and select those 3 switches. Do a right click hide in view element. So again, hold down your control key, select those switches, right click, hide in view element. Okay, so we're hiding the element, not the category. Okay, so now let's go back into my component command. There's my duplex, and I can just go ahead and place them, okay, throughout my building here. And now remember, in the kitchen, it needs to be, especially where your counter is, I'm assuming that my counter is along this wall here, okay, so I can't make them too far apart. Okay, again, I'm not going to grill you on this, but I do want to see, okay, that you have placed sufficient amount of outlets, okay, throughout your building. Okay, now inside the washroom here, we do need a GFI one. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and load family and do the GFI. Okay, and remember it's 3 feet away from the tub. Okay, so I gotta put it down. Okay, and then check that distance. Select it and just double check that distance from the tub. Okay, and you can see perfect. 3 feet, half an inch.
Sancho, are we supposed to show plumbing fixtures in the power column?
You can. Okay, you can. It's not a big deal because they're already they're built in. Okay, so you can. It's not a big deal. Okay, and then maybe I want to put in another type. Okay, maybe I'll put in load family. Maybe I'll put in a floor duplex one. Maybe in the center area here. Now we'll take a look at some communication ones, okay? Maybe the telephone as well as the TV, okay? So to put those ones in, just again, remember where they are. Okay, so the TV is under electrical, architect, information, and communication, okay? So let's load that one in. So let's go component, load family. Okay, it's under, again, it's still under electrical, architectural, but it's now under information and communication. Okay, go under communication, and there's your outlet communication, your TV outlet. Put it right here in the living room area. Okay, maybe I'll put one in the bedroom. That one is for TVs. I'll show you one more. So let's look at the telephone outlet or data outlet. Okay, so that should also be under this. Oh no, it's under electrical MEP. All right, so let's go again. Component, load family, go back to electrical. This time go under MEP. Okay, information and communication. Okay, under communication. All right, and there should be, there you go. Okay, there's the data outlet. Okay, there's you scroll down, there's the telephone outlet. Okay. Let's see what the telephone outlet looks like. Something like that. Maybe I'll put it in the kitchen. So again, if you take a look under there, there are quite a few things under mechanical. Okay, so if I just do a search here, okay, you can, again, there's your data outlet. Put that in, maybe that's beside my telephone outlet. All right.
Sancho,
Yeah.
my telephone outlet is showing up like a little switch.
Alright, so set your detail level to coarse.
Oh, it was on. Okay, thank you.
Alright, so again, here is your power and communication legend. Okay, I want as many of these as possible to be placed in your drawing. Okay, similar to the ceiling one. Okay, take a look at the ceiling one. I want as many of those as possible. Same along here. Okay, if you can't find some of these, okay, then draw them in. Okay, again, if you can't find some of these, then draw them in. I think the majority of them you should be able to find. Okay, I couldn't find exhaust fans, so that might be something in your washrooms that you're going to need to put in. Okay, that you may need to draw in. Okay. Any questions on the power and communication plan? All right, next, interior sections. Okay, we already know how to create sections, so let's do a quick one here. All right, please go under the the view tab. Click on the section command, and we're gonna create a building section. Okay, and we're gonna run the section. Let's say I want to run the section through this window, through the bathroom. Okay, so I'll run it through the window. Bathroom. Okay, there you go. Typical section. There's my section drawing right here. Now, because now that it's a working drawing, okay, I want to make sure that you put your visual style set to, your detail level set to 5. Okay. Your drawing should show all the structure now. Okay, because we put in structure in your as-built. Okay, please make sure that your structure is showing on your drawing. That's not much to show you here. Okay, now next we want to do a detail. Okay, I want to do a call out. Alright, so I want to zoom up to an area. And let's say I want to zoom up to, let's say, the window wall connection. Okay, so I simply go to call out and make sure that it is in your detail category. Okay, so once you click under view, call out, make sure it's in your detail category and put a call out around the area you want to zoom into. Okay, I'll select my label and move it out so it's not not hitting anything. Alright, there's my detail. So if I go under my detail view, there it is, detail 0. Okay, I'm going to rename it. I'll just call it my window wall connection. Okay, so if I click onto that, there's my detail. And then I could simply label it. Okay, I could either label it using my annotate text command and add some leaders here and simply label it. Okay, or if you recall from our last class, we could do a material tag. Okay, so if I click on material tag, you can see some of these items, okay, have a tag on it. Okay, I'm going to turn off my crop region there. Okay, and I can simply go in there and start tagging items. Now remember, some items do not have a tag available. Like for instance, if I wanted to tag the metal mullion in my, okay, you can see that some of these items don't have a description on them. Okay, now I showed you how to do a description in Material Browser, but how do you create a description in a on a component? Okay, here's how you do it. Go ahead and put this down with a check mark on it or a question mark on it. Okay, and no problem. Just click onto that question mark and type it in. Okay, so maybe this one here is going to be the metal frame. Now the nice thing about putting that description on that item, in any other drawing, if I want to, I can now go to material tag, and you'll notice that material tag is present. It will be present in other drawings because you have put that onto that item. Okay. So that again is another way of putting in your tags for materials simply by revising the question mark.
Can I type in metal frame? It works, but when I try to do a material tag on the wall below, it seems not visible.
Okay, so remember, if you're losing some of your elements, it's because it's too far from the drawing. Remember that your crop region is probably cutting it off. Okay, so turn on your crop region, select it, and it's this crop region that controls text. If your text is outside that crop region, it's going to disappear. Okay, so you may have to pull your crop region out further so that it's not cutting off your text. And again, you'll see that, again, a lot of items have, look, even the bed has a material tag applied to it. Now, let's say I want to do a millwork detail. Okay, I want to create a millwork. Oh, by the way, please remember that we could also add details to this detail, right? Just a review. Under detail, go under component, detail component. Okay, and let's say I wanted to add, I think, no, I don't have one, so I'll load family, and maybe I want to put a 2x6 wood frame here. Okay, so I'm going to go under US Imperial. It's under detailed items. Okay, and if I wanted to put a wood stud, okay, I'll click on wood and plastics, and then I go under wood framing. Okay, and rough cut lumber section. And in there we'll have all my sizes. Let's say I want to do a 2x6. Okay, so there it is. Rotate it. Okay, did that in a couple weeks ago. Also insulation, if you recall, insulation I could put into here as well. There's my insulation command, 6 inches for my insulation. Okay, and then I can place it. Right? All right, now let's do a millwork detail. Okay, so let's go into our partition plan. Okay, and maybe I want to do a millwork detail. We only have one millwork item here. That's our vanity here. So I'm gonna run a detail section through here. Okay, so let's go under again view, section, and let's run a detail section. Okay, and I'm just gonna run it right through here. Okay, so under detail, there it is, detail 0. Okay, maybe I'll just call this one vanity. Okay, vanity detail. Okay, so there it is. Okay, now maybe in this one here, let's set our probably going to be at about 3/8, if not 1/2. Let's set it to 1/2. Okay. Sorry, 1/2, not 1/2. Just 1/2 inch. Okay, as my viewport scale. Okay, and then there you go. Now you can see that I haven't finished. We only put in the base cabinet. We didn't put in the countertop. We didn't put in the sink. Okay, but here I'd like you to add more detail to this. Okay, so I'll set my detail level to fine. And then you're going to add more detail, regardless of what it is. Maybe you're going to put in, okay, annotate. Maybe you're going to put in a shelving. Okay, so maybe I'll put a shelf in here. Okay, and I'm just drawing this in using our rectangle command. Okay, maybe you're gonna put a drawer in here. Maybe you'll put some hardware in here. Okay. Maybe there is a stud in here. Okay, maybe there's a stud there, and maybe I'll draw lines through it. Or you could have taken a stud from your components command. Okay, and maybe there's, again, you could go to detail, component, detail component. Okay, maybe there's a 2x6. That's way too big. But you get my drift. I could put a 1x4 down here, or 1x3 down here, and so on. Okay. And again, we could label it. We could tag it. Okay. We could do a material tag and tag different elements. And again, remember, if you're trying to tag something that doesn't have a tag on it, you could simply put it in and then click onto that question mark and tag it. Okay, or you could go to annotate and just use the leader, right? Just use the leader and tag it and label it. Okay, we could also put dimensions on here. Okay, so if I want to show the dimension of the kick plate, okay, along with perhaps the dimension of the count of the base cabinet or the vanity, okay, I can do that as well. All right. Now, in your assignment, I want one structural detail. So if I look, okay, so I want a building section. You decide on where that building section goes, okay? And then when you do your details, okay, I want one structural detail as well as one millwork detail. Okay, so here's under details, okay? So one structural detail, so it might be the exterior wall, it might be the stairs, whatever detail you want. Okay, there again, or it could be a connection between your roof and your wall, okay? And then I also want a millwork detail as well. Okay, so chances are probably in your vanity. All right, so the vanity, or you have a small kitchenette in one of your rooms. Okay, you can use that. All right, now wall elevations, and again, I've shown you how to do wall elevations before. Let's go back to our partition plan, and here's the elevation that I want you to have. Okay, now it's getting a little messy here. Okay, I'm gonna put it in this room. All right, I'm going to put in a elevation, and I want the elevation of all four sides of this bathroom. Okay, so let's go under View, Elevations. So in your Create panel, Elevation. And this is going to be an interior elevation. So go to your Properties panel and click Interior Elevation. Okay? Now remember, here's what I want. I want 4 elevations. Now it's going to get really messy in here if I put in 4 of these symbols. Okay, just put in 1 for now. Doesn't matter which side you're facing. Okay, and I'm going to change the name of this, so you should now see Interior Elevation, Elevation 1A. Okay, I'm just going to call it Water Closet 1, WC1. As my elevation name. Okay. And there you go. If I double click, there's my elevation. Okay, chances are it's probably going to be set at about 1/2 inch. Again, 1/2 inch equals a foot. Okay. Now, I want to show the other 4. I want to create the other 4, but I don't want to put 4 of those big symbols in there. Here's what you do. Select the symbol. So select the circle. Okay, right there. And then you'll see on all 4 sides there's an empty square. Okay, go ahead and fill in that empty square. And now you're creating an elevation on each side. Okay, Now go into your interior elevations in your project browser, and we'll just rename it. Okay, 1B will be WC2. Okay, and again, the reason why I'm renaming them, so they're not too large in my, okay, on my drawing. Again, hopefully you'll have a lot more room in your washroom than I have here. Okay, I could easily move some of these things out here a bit. Alright. So now there's all my different wall elevations. Okay, and they're all set at 1/2 inch. Double check, they're all set at 1/2 inch equals a foot. Now, here's the things I want in your interior elevations, okay? So I want heights of objects, materials used, and details that you can't see on the floor plan. So details like, if you take a look here, you may, obviously you're not gonna see drawers on there, you may not see some lighting. There's some hatch patterns on here for the tile. Let me show you how to do that as well, okay? So let's start by showing you how to do a hatch pattern, okay? And hatch pattern, so let's all go to WC3, okay, where you see your toilet, okay, and there's your bathtub. Okay, now I want to put a tiled hatch pattern right here in my bathtub area, okay? All right, so let's go. Under the Annotate tab, okay, hatching in Revit are called region fills, okay? Region filled or filled region, okay? So click onto that command. All right, now look in your properties panel. There's a few different, okay, hatch patterns that you could choose from, but there's quite more, okay? There's quite a lot more than this. Pick any one, doesn't matter to me. I'll pick the first one, diagonal, and go edit type and duplicate it, okay? This pattern that I'm going to choose is for my 4-inch tiles, okay? So put 4-inch tiles. Click OK, and let me show you where the patterns are. So right here, okay, click onto, it says diagonal crosshatch. Click onto there. Okay, now there are two types. There's drafting ones, so you can see them here. Different ones here, but I want you to look under modeled ones. Okay, this is the one that I like because it's got different interior materials. There's your 4-inch tile right there. Okay, and again, these are all to scale. Okay, so now let's go ahead and choose 4-inch tile. Okay, so there we go. All right, now let's click OK. And now all we have to do is identify the boundary of this hatch. Okay, so use your rectangle tool and draw your boundary. Okay, so maybe I want my tile to fit right in this area here. Once you draw your rectangle, finish it. Okay, and then your hatch pattern should appear, okay, in that area. Okay, so again, hatch patterns again are called region fills. And again, majority of times, if you're not using the ones that appear in the primary list, edit type, duplicate, and then choose the pattern image. Okay? So that's what I expect, okay, on yours. Let's just drop it, drag and drop these onto a couple sheets here, or on one sheet. Okay, let's create, okay, let's go to view. Sheet. Okay, use the D2234. Okay, this one will be our section. Building section. All right, and drag and drop your section 1. pretty small a scale. I'll probably make it larger. Maybe 3/8. Alright, now create another page for our, actually maybe I'll just put my details on this page. Okay, so I'm gonna put my window and wall connection. And again, maybe I wanna put that at a bigger scale. Good, and I'll drag and drop my vanity detail. And again, maybe I add a different scale. Alright, and so on and so on. Now for my interior, I'm going to create a new sheet. For my interior elevations, okay, I'm simply going to drag and drop those 4 interior elevations of the washroom, and I'm going to align them all up. So there's 1, 2, 3. Bring them closer together. So again, obviously I haven't put a lot of detail on these. When you do yours, I want to see what materials are being used, the heights of various objects, or any other elements that do not appear. Okay, like for instance, okay, there should be handicap rails on here. There should be handicap rails in your tub. Okay, so those type of elements we need to put into this drawing as well. And again, you can either model them in, you could search for them as components and model them in, or you could draw them in. Either way. Okay, so again, that's what I should see. You can see here, okay, the level of detail that I want to see in yours. And again, I'm labeling all the materials that are in this room. Any questions? All right, so in conclusion, these again are the 4, you've done 4 drawings already, hopefully. So you've done A1, your as-built, A2, your demolition, A3 was your partition plan, and A4 was your furniture plan. Okay, now you've got to do the next 5. Okay, so ceiling plan, power communications, section drawings, okay, interior wall elevations, as well as detail and millwork. Okay, we're going to exclude the schedules and legends because we already have them placed into the appropriate pages. As a submission, you are submit only the Revit file. That's all I need. Okay, just the 1 Revit file. Okay, this is due now. Next week we have off, so it is due when you come back from reading week. So you've got 2 weeks to finalize this assignment. Any questions? Yeah.
For the interior elevations, are we still are we doing our bathroom?
Yes.
Okay,
choose a bathroom in your. Choose 1 bathroom and give me all 4 elevations of that bathroom. Any other questions? All right. That's all I got. Rest of the time is yours. Again, this is due before the start of our next class in 2 weeks. And just the Revit file, please.